which I think is like certainly questionable on Carolina's end.
Yeah, but that makes you think. Did Carolina think they were getting JT Miller instead of Keandre Miller? Like, I mean, but
Yeah,
anyway,
7.5 mil a year. So, and he got 8 years because it was a sign and trade. So remember that they changed that in the next CBA. So Miller is one of those last 8 year contracts that we'll see, and then until the next CBA.
it's still a highly risky move. Like, I think we could both agree on that in terms of the Hurricanes. But I think in the simplest of
And
terms,
that's
right?
felt like DeAndre's whole time, even in New York, felt like this. Like, what are we getting today?
2 years ago, well, it was 3 years ago, the 2022 season, the one where we made it to Eastern Conference Finals against Tampa, that was a really good year for Keandre Miller. That playoffs was really good. Him
Mhm.
and Truba, without them, we don't come back in that Pittsburgh series, and we certainly don't win that Carolina series. But ever since Keandre Miller, and I'll never forget this, I was watching this. It was a Sunday night game. Ever since Keandre Miller spit on Drew Doughty, I mean, his career in New York just completely fell off, and the mistakes, the playoffs 2 years ago was Keandre Miller. I mean, that was really the first writing on the wall that was just terrible, and he was never really able to recoup from that defensively. And I think he would score every now and then, but I think I speak for all Ranger fans that scoring really meant nothing because the defensive performance was really bad. Yeah, the potential's there. I still think he's there. What is he, 25? Um,
Yeah,
and I still think he's got more left in the tank. Coaching, whatever you want to chalk it up to, it just wasn't there in New York, man. So I'm glad we won this trade. I mean, Jury, this was a masterclass. This might be Jury's. I think this is Jury's best move that he's made in New York.
you
Because
think so?
really, I think what we got in return, I think to me is astounding. Like I would have thought, we would have got way less. Maybe Carolina was like, you know what, this is a guy that we could get, long term right now, young guy. We think he could fit in and be a strong piece. And I'm honestly surprised that Carolina went for this. I think when you look at what Carolina needs, I think they need a little help. What is it? They need a couple. They need a little work on the bottom six. They need a second center for that second line now. But listen, they think it fits. They think it fits. Good for them. I think we got away with one here. What do you think?
Yeah, it unfortunately feels like someone when they're sledding, and then you see like a little kid running. And what you mentioned is like the 2024 playoffs felt like that, where it was like that first, like, oh no, this might not go as well as we thought. Because in 22-23 was his breakout. He had 39 points, his career high. That was the same season with the Dowdy spit, and I think he had like a 1 game suspension or fine.
Yeah.
But that year he was electric. He was doing it on both ends. He was carrying the
In the
puck
beginning of the year, he
like
was.
Makar light. Yeah,
Yep,
I,
he
I
was.
think the you know what, I see both sides to this though, and I think where not a concern lies, but the truth is, I think they paid him on potential, which was not an intelligent move. I think they had to pivot from their original plan. They signed Stankoven. They're looking at Ehlers. They still don't have another game breaker, which is, I think, what they really needed. I don't think this free agency class really, like, Mitch Marner was probably the only playmaker that they would go for. The reports were that there was a deal in place for that. If you saw any of that, Steve-O, like Marner's wife was pregnant, didn't want to go to Vegas. But apparently the move was to Vegas, not to Carolina. Anyway, with all that stated, with Miller specifically, I see the potential though. Like, I think they put the money first. They put the what is that? They put the cart before the horse, right? That's just the
Mhm.
phrase. But at the same time, I do see where Keandre Miller, like, he'll always have flaws in his game, right? That's the same way I feel about Brady Shea. But I think Miller has a higher offensive ceiling. He has the size, he's got the reach, he's got the skating ability. The one thing he doesn't have is instinct. He's not an instinctive defenseman because that's not how he played the game his entire life. In fact, he didn't pick up hockey until later. He wasn't a hockey focused athlete until later. He is the definition of an athlete who plays hockey. I don't think he has that, the hockey IQ of some of the top players in the league or defenders. I still think he could be in that upper echelon, but I think that'll always hold him back a little bit. And we see gaps in his defensive game, literally on the ice, where he loses the gap. So, I think essentially you sign Gavrikov and you trade Miller. One, you have to believe that, Steve, I think you'll agree with this point. If you're going to trade a player in division, you better believe that they're not going to become what you think they can.
Oh yeah, you're the biggest proponent of that. I know you, so yeah, I agree with that.
Right? Like you can't let a player go to a team that you could see in the semifinal or conference final.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm okay with it being Keandre Miller. What do you like? I'm assuming you, based on what you said, I'm guessing that you agree with me that you're okay with it. Like I'm okay with him going to Carolina. I don't know. He just what I've seen from him the last 2 years. I mean, he's just I'm okay with him going over there and being sloppy. Yeah, why not?
Because it is like his whole I just feel like even in his time in New York, it felt like a gamble. Not when he was drafted, like not when he made the team at a training camp. That was a surprise. But it felt like since that 23 year, like everything's just been this toss up. Like, what's 79 going to play like tonight? And I think you're right. I'm okay with it.